Hey guys, what's up? You know who it is. It is your man, Lenny, and welcome to Wholesaling with Lenny. I am here with none other, the Peoples Champ, Mr. Jamari Sprueil, coming out of, is it Clayton?
Clayton County, we call it
Clayton?
Clayco. Yes, sir.
Clayton County, Georgia, aka Clayco. Now, guys, I know most of you are familiar with Jamari and his work, and the reason why I call him, the People Champion, is because I see what he's doing, right? And saving people homes is a big deal, right? Saving people credit is a big deal. You kind of enable people to move forward with their lives. And man, hey man, tell the people about yourself, man, and what actually made you get into wholesaling real estate.
Well, yeah. My name is Jamari Sprueil. I live in Clayton County. That's in the 15 minutes south of downtown. What made me start getting into real estate is I dabbled in it here and there, earlier, but I saw an email from my mentor, my friend Peter Vexelman, and my other mentor friend Julie Muse, and they had started this group, partner driven, which I'm in right now. And it was a great mentorship partnership program that combined like education and real field experience, coaching and education. And when I saw it, I was just so compelled to join it, because I felt like that was exactly what I'm looking for. And I was tired of beating my head against the wall, and then finally found like a team that could work with and mentor me and guide me. So I jumped in headfirst in 2018. It was a hell of a journey for that first year, and I got after that first year, I got my first deal, and I've been full time, ever since. Well, I went full time in 2020, so I closed my first deal then, and yeah, that's the main reason why I joined. I mean, why I got started.
No doubt, no doubt. So I just want to go back real quick when you said um, that year, right? Because I tell people all the time, like it took me a year to close my first deal once I got, into it. And I had a few things going on as well as when I couldn't concentrate, and then when I did concentrate, I really didn't have that much information, so I was locking stuff up too high,
Right.
and I couldn't close the deal. And they say the average realtor actually doesn't close a deal as well
Hmm.
within their first year, right? Um, so that's really good to know. So we went from that until now. There was a little break in between. You said from 2018 to 2020. What made you lift your foot off the gas?
Well, I think the main thing, Lenny, that kept holding me up was mindset. I couldn't put my finger on it then, but now I know it was mindset. Going from where I was at, where a job and working a job pretty much my whole life, to going to full time, or being, working for myself. It was a different shift, and between that and the learning curve of wholesaling and going through the motions and talking to people. And in that year, I had some close calls. I almost had my first flip, but it fell through from the inspection. Couple close calls. Had it under contract. Contracts fell through. So I just had the persistence, and it taught me a lesson in persistence, and keeping going. With all the obstacles.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. So tell us. So a lot of people want to know, because I've actually had somebody reach out to me, and I actually directed them to you. A few days ago, the brother Jacoby. Shout out to Jacoby down in Houston.
Yep.
He's working with that pre foreclosure, trying to stop that pre foreclosure. So, can you explain to the audience what is a pre foreclosure?
A pre foreclosure is, well, in the state of Georgia, which is a non-judicial state where they don't involve the court. That is where, um, after the house mortgage is behind 3 months in payments, the bank will bring on an attorney who will basically act as a debt collector. And at that point, they send out a notice of default to the homeowner that says, okay, we're getting ready to take this house. The auction date is this date. You have until this time to give us our money. That's pretty much it.
Wow, that is what's up. So 3 months in Georgia.
And yeah. It's in a non-judicial state like Georgia. Turnaround is very fast. Like when the mortgage gets beyond 3 months, they start the proceedings, and once they send that notice of default letter with the auction date, they got 30 to 45 days to get caught up, or else they're taking the house.
Cool. So, yep. Wow. So, because in Missouri, like when you had said, a few first calls, your first, year, I had a few close calls as well,
Right.
and I also almost had my first sub too. When I first started, but I had it under contract. The lady was actually in Texas. The property was in East St. Louis, Illinois. I sent her all the paperwork that I had got, I'm saying, from the Subs 2 students in Pace's group. Shout out to the Subs 2 students. Shout out to Pace.
Absolutely.
Um, most definitely, right? So, shout out to Pace. Shout out to the Subs 2 students for getting me that paperwork. I put that paperwork into an overnight envelope. I sent it to the seller in Texas. She signed it.
Mm.
By the time we had called well, actually, excuse me, my fault. We had called the loan guy. The loan guy gave us a price that wasn't the price, so I had to make her find like the most recent statement, etc., whatever. But then we was great on the loan, and then come to find out they had closed on the property next door that she owned, which was a lot, like 6 months before. She never
Mm.
got a notice or nothing, anything. So I couldn't save her credit at that point. And then, I ended up going digging a little deeper and getting into the loan more. And man, they had put on so many fees.
Right.
It was pretty much untouchable
Yeah.
at that point. You know what I mean? And I had just gotten the game. I didn't know anything. You know what I mean? And I didn't know guys like you. So yeah, man. So it's just definitely a learning curve for us for our for our first year within the business, man. So if a realtor's looking, if a wholesaler's looking right now, who's trying to get in the foreclosures, as a wholesaler, as a realtor, how can somebody stop a pre-foreclosure?
That is a very good question. Well, I can't speak for the not for the judicial states. I think that's like New Jersey or one of those. But for a non-judicial state like Georgia, there are a few ways you can go about it. Um, the most there's like 9 different ways, but the most common ways I see are a loan modification, and they can do that directly with the bank. But we're talking about realtors or wholesalers. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is
Okay.
get the sale canceled, right? So a good way you can, I would say, to get started to get the sale canceled is to show the bank a valid purchase and sale agreement with a proof of funds. If you're a wholesaler or a realtor, you know, get that in front of the bank and say, hey, we got somebody who's looking to buy the property. We need this foreclosure stop so we can have enough time. A lot of times that will give you enough time to stop the foreclosure. Now, I ran into this. Sometimes the or attorney or the bank or whatever, they don't want to cooperate. So in that instance, and it gets down to the wire, you can do, now I'm not an attorney, so this isn't legal advice, but I have seen people do a self-filing bankruptcy, which is it's a temporary filing of chapter 13 bankruptcy just to get the banks off you. It's the initial filing. They can walk the paper into the courthouse themselves. That just stops the proceedings. You don't have to take it all the way through, but that's just enough to get the bank off of them so they can buy the house or purchase it or whatever. That'll give you at least another 30 days.
Most definitely. So once they get that loan modification, they actually got 30 days to where they can enter into a contract with a buyer like me, or a wholesaler like me or you, or a realtor, and actually get this property sold within that time, and literally save their credit
Mm-hmm.
to where they can
Absolutely.
go, so they can actually go on and buy another home.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Now, as a realtor or a wholesaler, you're gonna ask them like straight up, like, what are your goal? What's your goal? What's your plan? Do you want to stay here or do you want to, move on to the next chapter? Most of people will say they want to stay there. So if they do, the first thing I ask them, have you tried getting a loan modification? Because that's the top thing they can do to stop it. The thing is, a lot of times they try to get that loan modification and they end up rejecting the paperwork and they got to send it in multiple times and all that stuff, or they end up ultimately getting rejected. Um, But that's a common way. If they want to keep the house, I will direct them there, or some other way.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, I was watching one of your videos the other day, and you were explaining how you pretty much stopped a foreclosure like 2, 3 minutes before it happened. Man, can you walk us through that deal a bit?
Yeah. So I think that's the one I got done in August. I actually had a few of those, a couple of those actually. I'll talk about the one that became my first fix and flip. So I met the guy in March. The foreclosure was in April. It was about 3 weeks before. I met him going into his house. It was a rainy day, and I caught him going in. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, understand the property's under facing a problem." He kind of act like he didn't know what was going on. He was like, "What problem?" And then he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, we got it taken care of. You're gonna hear that a lot." And I left my car with him and I said, "Well, if anything changes, let me know." Sure enough, about a week later he called back. 2 weeks later he called back and he was like, "I want to get the loan modification." So I directed him to this place called NACA, NACA,
Right.
.com, and they help people with that. They also have a fantastic home buyer program.
They do.
um yeah, so I helped him and his son get do the application or whatever, and I thought that was the end of it. Then he called back a week later, and this is how I knew he wanted to sell. He said, "How much you think I can get for this house?" And that's when I started going into the house. "Tell me more about the house. What repairs does it need?" Then we started doing a little negotiation, and then that Monday before the following Tuesday, the next week, I locked it up. And this is when I found out the hard way that some banks don't take the contract and purchase and sales, and that won't be enough to stop it. So
Mm,
yeah, so for this one, it was, man, it came down to the wire, Lenny. I had to stay up all night that Monday and helping them with the paperwork, but I was able to call in the Chapter 13, the temporary filing or whatever, and to get it stopped. And then I got the confirmation from the foreclosure attorney about 3 minutes before the auction was supposed to start that it was closed.
wow.
Man, it was a photo finish, but I
Wow.
was able to do it. And then 3 weeks later, we closed on it, and that was what became my first flip.
By the neck of the nose. So I did see pictures the first flip on TikTok, right?
Yeah,
I saw all the way up to day 60, right? Maybe, right? I think like day 60, day 30, right? I know I watched a lot of them. I know I watched a lot of them, right? So that is literally the story behind that first flip.
yeah, that's it. That's what became my first flip. I stopped in foreclosure and helped the homeowner. Now for that one, I'm gonna just be completely transparent. Me and my partner split 15,000, so it was a skinny flip. The seller got almost 90,000, and he didn't have to pay capital gains on it because he lived in it the past 3 out of 5 years. That's the
Right.
rule. I was sitting next to him at the closing attorney when the closing attorney told him that. Which, so I'm fortunate. It's not the I didn't make a killing on that. But hey, we didn't lose money either, so I consider that a win.
Exactly. And you solved a major problem.
Absolutely.
And you definitely allowed that seller man to go on and do something else with that 90,000. You know what I mean? You definitely gave him a new lifeline with that,
Right.
right? What is the most important advice that you give? What is the most important lesson that you've learned over your time dealing with foreclosures? Because I know you did say when you said, I'm gonna go back to when you said when the guy response was, "I don't know what you're talking about," and then you was like you interjected and said you'll get that a lot, right?
Yeah.
So like, what advice would you give a realtor or a wholesaler about some of the lessons that you've learned, like the most important lesson that you've learned through this so far?
As far as the foreclosure process, being
Yeah.
persistent and consistent.
Mm,
Follow-ups, it's all about the follow-ups, especially with pre-foreclosures. But you have to dig a little deeper because they're always going to try to send you away like, "Oh, we got it taken care of." And what I've learned is you have to go a little bit deeper. Like, well, when you say you have it taken care of, what do you mean exactly? What has the bank been able to do for you? More than likely, they'll be like, "I'm working on it." So what do you mean by you're working on it? Have they already approved the loan modification? Blah, blah, blah. And then that's when you can go a little bit deeper and show how you can help them. So don't be afraid to ask more questions. Like I do door knocking, so I'll say that while I'm at the door. But don't be afraid to ask more questions, and apply pressure to the banks and to the attorneys because they're gonna try to give you a hard time too. For my first flip, the morning of the auction, the bank told me straight up, we're not going to cancel this. It will cost us more money to cancel it than to keep it going. So no, we're not going to cancel this sale. We're going to foreclose. So I thought it was over. But I had to keep going. I had to keep going. Another one, they at the sale. This is the crazy part, Lenny. The sale actually went through on the courthouse steps, but I kept applying pressure, and we got that sale rescinded, which means they pulled it back. They reversed it. But I had to keep staying
Wow.
on top of the bank. I had to stay on top of them. Like, hey, she did the walk in. We got the case number, we got the timestamp. You got to honor that. And they were like, yeah, we got to rescind it. So, and that one got rescinded. So I would say consistency, persistency. You got to be diligent. You have to be tenacious, and you cannot just be passive about that. You got to stay on top of the banks. You got to stay on top of attorneys, and you got to follow up with the seller.
Definitely, definitely, man. Definitely, man. That's some great advice.
Yeah,
Because I figure out like the best solutions is in the follow up when you keep
absolutely.
following up because you like you said you just keep digging, keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. Okay, what are the banks doing for you then, right? Have they approved the modification?
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point people are like, oh wait, loan modification. I never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so you dig and dig and dig and dig, open, literally opens them up. And it's funny you said that because I called, a pre foreclosure when I first started, and the lady told me that.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, "No, it's okay. We got to take care of whatever." And I was, I didn't know what to come back with, and I was like, "Oh, you know, okay, like I get
Right.
it." So, when I had spoken with her, she was kind of standoffish a bit, but then she kind of backed off from the standoffish part and was just blank was like, yeah, well, we got to handle, we taking care of it, whatever. So in this journey, right, that you've been in helping these sellers, what would you say, or that is not a big deal, but you would feel a big deal as someone else may not look at it as a big deal, but you may look at it as a big deal. Like, what is like one of the biggest failures that you've learned from this experience? Well, one of the biggest failures that you may think to yourself that what I mean, that may not be as small to somebody else, but what is that, and what did you learn from that?
Oh man, yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. The one that I got the sale rescinded, that's the ugliest one. That's the biggest. I would say if I had to say that was the biggest failure because it was a Mexican lady. Everything was good at first, and I guess I didn't quite She didn't quite understand like the process or how much she was going to be getting, or and so I got the contract signed with her or whatever. I thought she understood, but that was a mistake number one. I thought she understood, how much she was gonna get after the mortgage was paid off. Then later on, she asked me again, and I told her again, thinking that it was, she was just asking again. But
Right.
then that's when it went sideways. And then the next thing you know, she's on the phone with my partner, cursing him out. And now it's to the point where, she's getting a lawyer and she's talking about keeping the house when first she was talking about selling it, and now there's a lien on the property. So if she ever tried to sell, she got to pay my partner's LLC. It got really really ugly because of that misstep. And also the biggest mistake I made, and I would advise this to any wholesaler or investor: never make an offer to a seller that has a property facing foreclosure until you get that payoff letter or that reinstatement letter. It's very very important because they're going to give you what's the unpaid balance number on the mortgage statement because that's what they think they owe. And that makes a lot of sense. But what they don't understand is there are so many fees added on top of that balance when they go into foreclosure: attorney fees, late charges, interest, all this extra stuff. And they don't know about that. But you got to order the payoff first. Then because she told me she owed 50,000. When the payoff letter came back, she owed 94,000. So she owed almost twice as much,
Wow.
and that's what threw everything off. But see, they're not going to remember that, and they're going to remember is that number you gave them in the very beginning, and that's
Mm.
what came back to haunt me. So it got really ugly. That's the ugliest situation I've ever seen in real estate, and I learned a lot of lessons.
Man, that's what's up. That one right there, Sounds like a valuable lesson right there.
Yeah,
Just when itself, just that line of community to make sure there's that clarity.
you have to.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get misconstrued. And a lot of people don't even, think about, they don't take into, consideration, like your contract is a legal document,
Right.
right? And breach of that contract can cause, legal issues. And,
Exactly.
I tell this to wholesalers all the time when it comes to extending a contract, right? Or, finding a buyer to fulfill that date. One is if you won't buy it at that price, don't lock it up
Mm-hmm.
at that price. And, if you need more time, just ask.
Yeah.
Don't just ghost the seller,
Right.
right? Don't do that,
Right.
right? Because we don't know what situation someone's in,
Mm-hmm.
and I've literally sold properties that had the mortgage on it to the point where the person was getting like $50
Right.
after closing. They didn't walk away, with a dime, and
Right.
it's like, wait, I wrote cash to closing on the paper, cash at closing on the paper, something else.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know nothing about the mortgage. Yeah, I mean, so I'm thinking these people getting all this money, and the title company calling me like, "No, you're not getting this." And then the people like, "You said I was getting this," and
Yep.
it's like, "Ah, man, yeah." I learned that. I learned that one from that one myself. I learned that on the hard way, man. What is you do door knocking, right? Which is awesome to me, bro. It blows my mind, right? Because I did door knocking doing cable. I did it when I had my little Sprint store campaign going. I did it with Vivint, and I've never done it with a homeowner, and then to approach a homeowner who has a specific situation that requires a more complex skill set and more information than wholesaling. So when you at the doors with the people, right? What is your initial like? How do you? Because I know you said, because I heard you. Excuse me. I heard you one time say, I've helped, 2, 3 people this month get the banks off their back. Right. I believe I heard you said that in one of your video. Like, what do you open with? Like, what do you open with? Because like you know the situation already. That's like, it's like you kind of pull in the list, but you live in the situation when you knock on the door, right? How do you begin, when you at someone's door?
That's a great question, Lenny. Well, it's I've had to perfect it and adjust it over the last since I've been knocking on people's doors. But the one person that's helped me out immensely, and this is the strategy I use today. I got it from a great lady by the name of Nicole Espinosa, short sale queen. She's out of Dallas Fort Worth. And I asked her one time on our masterclass, I was like, if you're knocking on somebody's door facing foreclosure, when they open the door, what do you say? And this is what she told me. This is what I tell people. They knock on the door. So uh, let's role play real quick. I'm gonna knock on your door. Okay. Knock knock.
Who is?
Yeah. Sorry. How you doing, sir? Don't mean to bother you. I was in the area. I just wanted to stop by. My name is Jamari. The reason I stopped by is because I noticed your property might be scheduled for auction in the next month or so. So I was just checking on you, making sure you're all right, and that you're not facing foreclosure anymore.
Yeah. We might be good. What you talking about?
Okay. So when you say you might be good, I mean, what has the bank been able to do for you so far?
Well, they just sent the letter. I just got the letter. I really don't know, what to do or where, I really don't know what to do. I know we got court in a few weeks. I ain't really prepared nothing. I don't know what to prepare out.
Okay. Well, I know I can imagine a lot of stuff is coming at you really fast, sir. And I know there's you're getting bombarded with calls from all kind of directions, from all kind of different people. You don't know which way is up. But I'm here to let you know, I've helped a lot of people in the past year or so get the banks off their back. And I'm here to help. It's my job to help as much as possible and to be a person of value. And I'm here to help go over all your options. I mean, if you have some time, I mean, maybe not right now, maybe I would like to jump on the phone with you or sit down and go over the options you have available to see how we can get this taken care of.
Man, Boom, right? It's like norm. It's like normal. Like you know, it's so fluid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people all the time, like you don't want to come off as a wholesaler, right?
No, 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 no.
That's something you don't want to do, right? You want to come off as a problem solver, right? Just like you said, and that directive, man, how you just kind of hit that point down, right? Because most people don't even know they got that many options. They're just probably sitting. They got to go to court, and then they might have a lawyer who don't, who ain't really that, who ain't that really that sharp with it. You know what I mean? So, man, it's not standoffish. It's not
No.
confrontational. You know what I mean? It's not standoffish. It's not confrontational. There's a lot of empathy in the pitch,
Yes.
right? There's a lot of empathy in the pitch, man. And I definitely believe people. I mean, well, I know obviously that people would feel some kind of way with that, right? A little more reluctant to give up the information. If someone is as genuine is saying, "Hey, we can stop this."
Yeah. Absolutely.
You
And Lenny
know,
is, it's crazy because being that approach and just coming off genuinely wanting to help people, it's gotten me. I've been standing in front of them one moment, literally minutes later, I've been inside the house. They just met me, and now I'm inside the house, and they're showing me all the documents and opening up the certified mail with the auction date and from the attorney for the first time. It's just, when you give off that energy, that go giver energy, and when you show them that you truly want to help, amazing things can happen. Perfect stranger. I went from doing the pitch to inside of the house within a matter of minutes.
right? Definitely, man. Yeah, man. It's that, it's that believing, right?
Yes.
But then, like, you come off. You don't come off like weak, like you have to do it trying to get a sale.
Right.
It comes off as, hey, I'm confident we can do this.
Yeah.
You don't need me. I can even show you how to do this.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I believe when people get that information right there, from someone like you to where, well, hey, this guy's not trying to make a buck off me.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to help me.
Yeah.
So, and if he does help me in the middle of that, if he makes some money, it's great for both
Right.
of us,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So, I definitely understand that, man. Definitely appreciate going in like that. You know what I mean? Letting people know that they got a friend, because some people sitting there lost, but they about to lose their house.
Yeah.
Like they about to lose their house, like and what some people believe is like the biggest part of the American dream, home ownership. So they sitting here thinking about like they about to lose the dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you knock on the door, right? The People's Champ come. You got the you know what I'm saying? You got the situations, you know what I'm saying, set out. And then, like you said, within minutes, man, of opening up, you're literally at the table. They're opening up. They're going over the documents with you. You know what I mean? You know how long they had the dog. You know who off at school already. You know what I mean? Just that report to get you through the door, man. Um, you do. Are you on your second flip now?
I almost, but it went sideways. That one with the lady, the Mexican lady, she didn't speak good English, and
Okay.
yeah, that
Okay.
was gonna be my second flip.
Okay. No doubt. No doubt. So you looking for another flip right now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had one potentially, but it was too much work needed. It ended up being a full gut. But I'm looking for my second one. Yeah. So I'm definitely still looking.
Most definitely, man. Get those helping those sellers, man, and getting it out the way, man. I'm definitely glad you got that first flip out the way. I
Thank
haven't
you,
tried.
brother.
I haven't tried to flip yet. We are closing on the flip here in Missouri. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks or so, we closed on it. We just got the contract in today. We got approved from the hard money lender, etc. So this should be exciting, right? Because I've never done. I've
I
never
bet it
done.
is. You're
Yeah, I've
gonna
never
learn a
done.
lot, man. You're gonna learn a lot in that time.
Man, I bet everybody say that. You know what I'm saying? Like just get ready for the pain. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like real quick, man, I see you up at the gym. I see you up at the gym every day. It's something that, I've been working on recently, trying to eat better, man, trying to do better, man. Because we can be out here, we can be great humans, great investors. If we ain't got our health, we ain't got nothing.
100%.
I see you every morning, like I said, working it out, grinding, getting it in. Man, what does your morning routine look like?
Okay. Well, I always start, I wake up probably maybe around 5, 6 lately. I always start with like some sort of meditation, wake up, meditate, and then do like maybe like a gratitude journal or something like that. And then after that, I'll do like a cold shower, maybe like from anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. And then after that, man, and then I kind of look over my goals for the day, what I'm looking to do. I'll probably write it on like a little 3x5 goal card, and then I hit the gym. And then once I do that, man, it's off to it's off for driving for dollars or door knocking or whatever I got to do, or unless I got to run
Right.
some errands for my mom or something.
Definitely, man. Most definitely, man. That morning routine, man. And I had actually brought up cold showers to brother Jay Wicker on the first podcast. He was like,
Yeah,
"Oh no, I ain't taking no cold showers." And I was telling him that I actually got that from a realtor
yeah,
on YouTube, well, a broker realtor coach on YouTube by the name of Brandon Morin. And I definitely share a lot of his content because for him being a broker and this is a slick dude. Like, dude's really slick,
oh
right?
yeah, I started posting his stuff on Instagram. Yeah, he's really slick. Yeah,
Yeah. Brandon's really slick, man. So I'll be sharing all this stuff and stuff. And he got me doing, the cold shower or whatever, and I like to say that, like I said, that 2 to 5 minute
hmm,
in the shower, man, kind of does something to you. Does something to your body, your
yeah,
cells, and it kind of just get you going. Let's just do this thing. So that definitely that morning routine, man, is something. Um, to take into consideration,
for sure.
especially the meditation, right?
Yeah,
That meditation, that formulating before the noise starts, before the noise gets in, you have that time for yourself to either, like you said, meditate, read a book, etc., etc. So like coming to the books, what are you reading currently?
right now, this is gonna piss some people off, man. I just finished. I'm almost at the end of Donald Trump, The Art of the Deal.
Really?
Yeah,
So I had posted something a few weeks ago, and you had commented on
yeah,
it. And I had posted it right after that, and I was talking about that 20-year tax abatement.
yeah,
Was it that 20-year tax abatement?
yeah. I
So
think that
like,
was it.
Donald Trump, like the wholesale king.
Man, he was doing assignments before it was a thing. He was doing creative finance before it was a thing. Love him or hate him.
Yeah, definitely, man. And when I had, because I had saw the movie, I
Yeah,
saw when the movie that they got on, and I was like, yeah, this dude's been doing assignments before. The average person know anything about no assignment.
right.
Dude rolling with this in the 70s. Like, he doing these deals in the 70s. And it's like, geez, dude, no wonder he's like a billionaire triple. You know what I mean? Yeah, no wonder. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the strategies now, when we implement these strategies. So it's like, oh wow, okay, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's pretty dope, man. The art of the deal. I literally got to buy it so I can just go all the way through it, dig all the way through it, man. If you had to write a book, if you had to write a book about yourself, what would you write about?
uh, from the perspective of somebody who hates me, it'll be like either prepare to be sick of me or why don't you give up already or something like that.
Yeah,
Prepare
yeah,
to be
yeah,
sick of me will be the first one, and then the follow will be why don't you give up already.
yeah, yeah. Real quick though, right? Because they see you. You know what I'm saying? They see you on your journey, and they see you succeeding on your journey, right? So that'd be the most thing. So you talked about partner driven, right? I had spoken to someone from partner driven a few weeks ago, whatever. Maybe like a few months ago, and I brought your name up, and it was like, yeah, Jamari. Excuse me, I forgot the individual's name that I had spoke to, and she was telling me about the coaching and stuff like that. How important in this real estate journey, man, do you believe having a mentor is, or being a part of a mentorship a mentorship community? Something like we got, at Wholesaling. with Lenny.
It's everything, man. It's everything. Like what your community and everything, because it's all like I said in the beginning. It's all about mindset. I don't know if I would have gotten past that first year if it wasn't for mindset and community and aligning myself. Pete always talks about alignment, aligning yourself with the right people in the right time, being aligned with them, and rubbing elbows with people who've had at a high level of success, like Pete and Julie. It means everything. I don't know if I could have gotten to my first deal without that. I needed that. I needed somebody in my corner. That's what was missing. That was the missing link to get me my first deal and beyond.
Most definitely, man. A lot of people. I was one of the guys. I jumped in the game, and I was like, man, I think I consumed enough information. I'm gonna go ahead and try this, right? And then it wasn't until I got with my homegirl, which I had on the podcast. Oh, excuse me, Miss Shamika Jackson, and I would call Shamika pretty much whenever, for real, middle of the night, whatever. And sometimes I catch her and she give me the information. Sometimes I catch her and her partner together while they doing the deal or whatever, whatever. And I present them with the situation, man, and they walk me through it. They'll walk me through it, walk me through it step by step. So I believe, like you said, if I hadn't gone back and was like, look, yeah, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? And then having her and then them, together off and on at times, helping me, giving me a little more knowledge, a little more game, helping me push through the deals, man.
It's so crucial.
Yeah, I definitely say, man, getting in line with somebody that's done it, who's currently doing it. Don't get in line with somebody who did it 40 years ago. It ain't the same. Don't get in line with somebody who did it 20 years ago and they did nothing in 20 years. It's not the same. Get with a mentor, man, somebody who's doing it, who got proven success doing it, who teach people doing it. You definitely go a lot further, in your business. I always tell people there's no dumb questions when you don't know. Right?
Exactly.
When you don't know, there's no dumb questions when you don't know, right? And the only way we're gonna get better is we seek information.
Have
You,
to.
you know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So from the learning experience, how how standoffish are people when you know that they owe?
When you know that they owe,
Yeah,
people
yeah.
people are very guarded at first, very very guarded, but then they gradually let that guard down when they see that you're there to help. If I was just there in their face like, yeah, I can get you a cash offer, or I can, I want to sign you up so you can sell the house, they will probably be like, no, we're good. But you have to gradually be there to them, show them you can lead with value, and kind of walk them through, guide them to that, and show them that you're there to help. When you do that, they start off standoffish. Now, sometimes it don't matter what you do. I've had to fight off dogs with patio chairs. I told one lady, she came out of the garage, and I was like, yeah, this is my old approach. I was like, yeah, I just understand this property was sending a notice of default. She paused for a second, and she turned to her son. He looked like he was about 8 or 9. She was like, get my gun. I was like, I overstayed my welcome, time to leave. So, sometimes it's like that. But
Yeah.
for the most part, but that's very rare. For the most part, people are just gonna kind of be guarded and be like, no, we got to take care of. But when you let them know you're there to help, they will gradually let that guard down.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. So we've covered a lot, man. I saw you guys. I saw you did a panel a few weeks back.
Yeah.
You did a panel down there in Florida a few weeks back, and dude, I just want to know right now, like, why ain't you? Well, I haven't seen anything about you posting a course yet, right? Like, why ain't you started a course yet, man? To get these people going to initially help more sellers. Like, do you got a course in the work? You started thinking about it? Are you thinking about an ebook? Because that'd be a good idea. Like, wait, I mean, no, seriously, bro. Like, seriously, man, because like your brain works different. People tend to learn different when they're getting it from people who really doing it, people who really have solutions versus somebody saying, like, I met somebody that was like, yeah, well, they met me in the parking lot. I swear to God, they met me in the parking lot. Wanted to know a few things about wholesaling. a seller was literally was across the street. I was there to meet the seller, introduced them to the seller, whatever, and because I had probably in the contract already, this person went off, told me the other day that they paid $12,000 for a course, and it ain't going well. And I'm thinking to my man, like, dude, you could have gave me the $12,000. You could have gave me $1,200. I would have. Could have gave me $20. I probably would. But have you thought about it? Have you sat down and pondered it? If so, like, what's stopping you from doing it? If you have.
That's a good question, Lenny. I have thought about that, but where I'm at right now is I don't know if I'm qualified. I know, I look at somebody like a Pace Morby. He's like an expert. He's done it all. He's got his own group, and he's like a superstar. But me, I'm still learning. I'm still doing deals. I made some mistakes, and what I did with that one house where it fell through and it got ugly, that kind of
Right.
messed me up. So I mean, I want to do it, but I don't know if I'm exactly qualified yet.
I think you qualified. I
Really?
think you qualified because for one, right? You you've closed this. This is what qualifies me, and it goes the same. Okay, if you're, let's just say, if you're going to be an electrician, right?
Yeah.
You got to work under somebody for like 5 years
Yeah.
before you can go do this. If you doing this, you got to work under somebody for like this amount of years to do this, right? So I figure like in wholesaling, if you've done over 7, 8 wholesale deals, if you've done over 7, 8 deals, I believe you qualified to teach somebody how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean because there's so much learning involved, going through each deal, to the point where it's like, okay, wait, I've done 20 of these. I should teach people how to do these.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Or I've done 12 of these. I should teach somebody how to do this, right? But because you have the skill set, like it's been done. The method that you use has been done. Like, do you see this comment on the screen right now?
Mm. Okay.
So, I mean, people was asking for your lines for the script. You know what I mean? Like, you do this. They know you do this. Like, we know you do this, bro.
Yeah.
You got like what 50,000 people on TikTok that follow you.
Something like that.
Like, dude, if you drop the course, you can Clayton County. We can blow Georgia up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to the point where you saving hundreds of owners a month
Yeah.
because you got all these students
Yeah. That's
who
true. That's
know
true,
how
man.
who know how to do it because you know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we not faking. We not faking. We got receipts.
Right.
We got closing statements.
Yeah.
We got sellers. We got buyers. We got people who can give us reviews. We got coaches who can be like, yeah, he it. You know what I mean? We got mentors who be like, you it. Like, bruh, when you hit the stage, bro, you just hit the stage, bruh. When you get on the stage in front of people, rooms of people, like you're fit. You're fit to teach this, bro. So I'll be looking for the ebook or something soon, my man, because I want no for real, because I want to learn how to do it, and I feel like I wouldn't want to be intrusive always calling, or always messaging. Hey man, so, this, that, this, that. Like I'd rather sit down in whatever setting that you choose or whatever, however we exchange information and just learn like directly from you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or if I had that book, I can read this book and take notes. And then, if I could schedule it in with you, I can schedule it in that way. I can get my call in and I can get all my stuff answered and, get my deal closed, etc. I think you fit, man. I think you should just start your coaching, put your video, put your course out there, let everybody jump in. It's a big deal, and right now the time is right. Right now, where we at now, with these dudes just raising interest rates again this morning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time for you to make that happen, man. I'm just saying because like I said, I like to learn it, but myself, I wouldn't want to be intrusive. And there's a lot of other people who want to learn it too, but don't want to be intrusive. But it's kind of like we kind of like need that invite.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we kind of like need that invite of a course or a book. You know what I mean? You like I said, man, you good to go. Your methods are proven. Yeah, I mean, the judges know your name. They know who you is, man. Like people know who you is, and just off that, I believe you definitely get more. You definitely get more deals closed, man, and push more sellers off into a better situation that they're in, bro. Like seriously, But that's just my take on it because I watch you, I see you, I see what you're doing. I see the problems that you solve. You know what I mean? I see the advice that you give strangers. Like you help thousands of people already. Like you literally help thousands of people already. Like there's so many people that owe their real estate journey to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing, dude. There's so many people that owe their real estate journey to you. So if nobody ever gave you flowers, bro, I'm gonna give you flowers right now on
Thank you,
it.
man. I appreciate it,
Real
man.
talk, because it's an inspiration to me, man. Every time I see you, and every time I see you help another seller's problem, it makes me want to add something else to my tool belt so I can go out and help more sellers. You know what I mean? More
Yeah, for sure.
more situations, man. Because I'm an empathetic person by
Yeah,
nature, so I feel some kind of way, man, when people are stuck in situations. So
for sure.
that's it, man. What are three podcasts, man, that you would recommend to the audience, and why?
Oh man. Well, other than this one we're on right now, of course,
Most definitely, most
check out my
definitely.
man Lenny. He's doing it. Wholesale hotline. Got That's the one I do on Mondays. Got to with Pace, Jamil, and Brent.
Most definitely.
Um, Real
Most
estate
definitely.
disruptors, because I love when he's interviewing those people and they talk about their journeys, and that he's always talking to people at a high level.
Exactly.
Um, and one that I started, they're really good. The two guys that do the Earn Your Leisure
Yeah,
podcast.
early release,
I
definitely.
saw the Steve Harvey interview. It was really, really good. I like that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. That Steve Harvey interview, man, opened up, turned on a few lights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it ain't like I'm sitting in the dark already, but that interview definitely turned on a few lights, man. I know that first deal you had, you said your first creative deal that you had, you actually sold that deal to Pace Morgan,
Yes, sir.
right? Man, let us know about that deal with Pace.
That was one. It was a facing foreclosure. I had to follow up with her for at least.
Tomorrow, you there? I can't hear you. I think you might have turned your mic off. You ain't getting no sound. Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, drop it in the comment section. Jamar, can you hear me? Let me see if I can. Can you hear me? Okay, you can hear me, Kelly? Okay, perfect, 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 perfect. Okay, let's see where Brother Jamari at. Brother Jamari have to come back on in. Bam! There we go. There we go.
A call came in that threw me off. But
No,
yeah,
no doubt,
I
no
met I
doubt.
met a lady in Stockbridge, Georgia, not too far from where I live. She was facing foreclosure. I had to follow up with her because she was going through different people, and I had to keep checking on her, seeing how she was doing. Finally, after I started talking to her in maybe September of last year, finally January rolls around. She's talking to all these people, and I'm just checking on her, asking how she's doing. She's like, "Yeah, this last person said he wanted to do a sub two deal." And she's a realtor, by the way, and she didn't even want to list it. And yeah, I never heard back from them. So I said, "Well, would you like me to see what I can do?" And she was like, "Yes." So then that's when I started looking for people. I asked different people. There's a great investor here. His name is Abraham Gray. He passed over. The numbers didn't work for him. I spoke about it with the guy Andrew Gervey, who was on the stage. I shared a stage with. He's an attorney. He said it wasn't really, everybody was just advising me to short sale. So I lost hope. And then I saw Pace's Instagram because I follow him on Instagram. And he said something about send me your deals. So I slid in his DMs And I sent him a video, and I was like, yeah, I got this deal. If anybody could do it, you can. And then we got on the phone call, and I sent him the details. And then he got on the phone call with her and did what he does, closed it. And then he had wired me a check for $10,000, and that was my first creative deal that I wholesaled to Pace Morgan.
Wow. So you actually got a dime out of Pace.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He caught him at a good time.
That is awesome, man. That is awesome. So, man, real quick, man, what are let's just go over real quick, just recap about what are the things that some of the sellers and the realtors, the wholesalers, and the sellers, what the things that we can do to actually postpone pre foreclosure foreclosure.
Okay, okay. Well, as for wholesalers, realtors, and sellers, there's a few ways. In fact, Pace and Brent have a video about the different ways you can stop foreclosure. There's about 8 or 9 ways, but for the most part, I've seen 3 ways. The first one is a loan modification. That's the most common response that a seller's going to give you. That we're already working with the bank, we're doing a loan modification or whatever. So I would just try to help them, guide them through that. Like, where there's 3 steps to a loan modification: submitting it, getting it approved, and getting it accepted. So ask them where they're at in the process if they're doing that. Uh, the next one is, of course, either selling it, to put it under contract and getting it sold, and getting them some money before the bank takes it, or creative. That's what I did with the lady in Stockbridge. So selling it via cash offer or creative. That's the second most common way. And the third way is, and I definitely advise people against this: bankruptcy. The only way I would do bankruptcy, again, I'm not an attorney, this isn't legal advice, but the only way I would recommend it is they're doing a temporary filing just to get the banks off their back. That way gives them enough time to go another route, because that's going to stick on their credit for 7 years. It's going to follow them wherever they go. And here's the thing: they file Chapter 13, they still got to deal with the house. They still got to pay the trustee every month.
Exactly.
And if they lose, and if they miss one payment, they dismiss the whole thing and start all the way over. Now they're back at square one. Now creditors are calling them again. Now the mortgage is calling them again. So they that's the thing about that. So those are the 3 most common ways I've seen people stop foreclosure.
Man, that is awesome. Awesome information, man. um, man, if you can go back in time, right? We had the old time machine. We had one of those old DeLoreans.
Yeah.
Um, because we can't go back in time without a
Right.
DeLorean. So if we had that DeLorean, we can go back to when we was 18 years old, right? What is one piece of an advice? What is one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Bruh, you got to get out here and take more chances. You got to get out here and really try to create some chaos out here. Because you got so much opportunity, so much upside right now, man. Don't waste time, and take more chances and try to explore and do more out here. And then in a few years, real estate is going to start popping off. Get into that immediately. Look up something called wholesaling. You know, and then I'll just leave him with that. Look up with wholesaling, and he might ask, "What is wholesaling?" I'll be like, "Don't worry about it. Just look it up." And then I'll just walk off.
Facts. Facts. Real talk, man. So, you did mention your mentors, and we did speak on other people in real estate. If you had the chance to have coffee with one historical figure, who would that be and why?
Oh man, I gotta say it, man. I want to have coffee with Pac, man. I want to have coffee with Tupac and pick his brain, man, because he did so much in the time that he was here in the physical. I just want to ask him, just pick his brain for uh however long he'll allow me, man. Just sit and have coffee with Pac.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely, man. Definitely one of the most influential people in the 1990s. Laid a lot of groundwork as far as free food,
Yes,
stuff like that, man. Him and his mom with the organization, Tupac definitely did a lot of stuff, man. Scholarships to his old school in New York.
absolutely.
It's a lot of people don't know about that. He did that as well. So definitely a good brother, man. Definitely somebody who I definitely would love to sit down and talk to, man. Um, you was telling me earlier. Now, I wanted to get into this I wanted to get. Hold on, wait. Where I'm at? 'Cause I'm losing my thought here. Right. Oh yeah. I wanted to get into Missouri. Right. Whether Missouri is a judicial state.
Yeah.
Right. Now, how would I be able to find that out if I'm in a judicial state or not?
Oh man, I think a quick Google search can do that for you. You know,
Okay.
yeah. When in doubt, I try to holler at my friend Google.
No doubt.
They'll be able to tell you real quick.
No doubt, man. They definitely there with it, man. Definitely there with it. Hey man. Thanks so much for coming on, man. We definitely appreciate you. Um, I definitely want to talk more, man, about getting into some pre-foreclosures over here, helping a lot of homeowners out over here in Missouri. Our process seems kind of lengthy, but it seems kind of lengthy in certain parts.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I would say it's kind of fast in St. Louis. It's kind of slow where I am. You know what I mean? So it's kind of that situation here. But I definitely love, man, to dig in some deals with you, man, to get some deals done. Man, before we go, you got any advice, man? Before as far as reaching out to pre foreclosures or anybody who just starting.
Yeah. There's you can do it from the courthouse, but that's kind of a lengthy process. The fastest way to do it is through a third party company like a PropStream. I like them. I use an app called Deal Driven, or Google, foreclosure attorney lists in your local state, and you can go directly to the foreclosure attorney's website and find what's facing foreclosure.
Naturally,
Those are the three fastest ways.
definitely,
And then once you find them, you can pull the list from the app like Deal Driven or PropStream or whatever, or
right?
you can, in whatever way you get to them. I would say my rule of thumb is this isn't work for everybody. If I can't
No
get in
doubt.
touch with them and they're local, I'm pulling up. I'm pulling
No
up.
doubt. Most definitely. Most definitely. Now, I remember you had said something about that. You were saying something about prop stream. I'm a Backfleece guy myself, right?
Okay, okay.
And yeah. I just love bats. I love the whole system, how it's set up. To the SMS, the click to call. We got a new click to call feature right on the app now, right?
Yeah.
The deal driven and everything. So I just wanted to drop that out there, and people can get a 7-day trial to it. You click the link.
For sure.
This will be in the description. And also, I just want to let everybody know about StreamYard as well. Guys, I definitely will have a link in the description for StreamYard as well. StreamYard is definitely one of the best platforms. You click my link, you get a free 14-day trial to StreamYard as well, man. Keep the podcast rolling,
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
Keep the podcast rolling. Hey, man, Jamari, man, thanks for coming, man. We're going to have to come back after you do your second flip because I know it's going to be from an awesome deal like this. So we're going to have to definitely talk about it, man.
For sure.
Once again, man, I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you for coming. And somebody just said Missouri
It's
is
a
a
non-judicial state.
non-judicial
Oh,
state.
so it's gonna be really quick. It's quick over there, like Georgia.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Because some start, like, I remember I was looking at some in St. Louis. This kind of, they be moving. It be moving kind of fast, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? But yeah, man, thanks again, bro, for stopping by. Like I said, man, once again, I definitely appreciate you. Wanted to congratulate you on your flip and everything that you're doing with the sellers, man. Wanted to give you your flowers now, so.
Thank you,
Uh,
brother.
hey, man, thanks for coming on, man. And anybody out there who watching, like, share, subscribe to this video. I'm pretty sure Jamari, man, will accept any of you guys' questions. If y'all working on the deal, hit Jamari up, add him on Facebook, follow him on TikTok as well as his Instagram. Hey, man, once again, Jamari, man, thanks so much.
Thank you, brother.
No doubt, man. You have a good one.
Are you too? Peace, y'all.
Peace. So, guys, thanks so much for coming in, man. Wholesaling with Lenny, guys. And once again, I want to share with you guys, you actually do get a free 7-day trial from Bachelor's, guys. Stay tuned. Check out this video, guys. Click the link. The link will be in the
Astro
description.
flippers, TTPers, everyone who's doing wholesale, everyone who's doing cold calling. I'm Jamil Damji with Keegley, and I'm here to talk to you today about batch leads. Now, Keegley is known as being the best at dispositions in the country. But how do you think we got like that? Because we're damn good at acquisition. Batch leads has been a game changer for us. You get SMS blasting, instant skip tracing, list stacking. This stuff is crazy, guys. You gotta get to it.